Let's move on to our new segment. This is called Freaking Out. So these are players that we've chosen because you might be freaking out over them, or you might believe that, they're really trending down, or they're just not doing what they should be doing. And we're going to deep dive into these a little bit more than maybe our trending up and down segment. So we're going to start with Mike Evans. So who had Mike Evans?
Well, I think we're all going to talk about him. Let's start with why people may be freaking out about Mike Evans. Chris Godwin is the wide receiver 1 in fantasy, and he was supposed to be the wide receiver 1 on his team. So obviously Mike Evans has been drafted to be, I think he was probably around the 8th or 10th wide receiver taken off the board. Everyone expected a lot from him, and he's had a few games where he's done pretty well, but he's also had 2 games now where he had 0 points. So Mike Evans, at this point, people are starting to freak out, for lack of a better term, because they don't know what to do with him. So, Adam, where are you at on Mike Evans?
Well, so I was pulling up this report because it says that they were asking Jameis Winston about it, and he said it's going to be a collective effort for them to get him the ball. And I just think with that offense, there's so many weapons that I'll answer the question directly. You are absolutely not moving Mike Evans. I think he's an awesome trade target if you're going to go after somebody. I almost chose him for that. So obviously Chris Godwin, I know we've talked about this lots of times, and Mike Evans even mentioned that, but they asked him as far as like talent-wise or the way the depth chart works, what he thought of Chris Godwin. He basically said, well, Chris Godwin could be the wide receiver 1. Their talent is almost equal. So I really just think it's a matter of volume. And I think we're definitely going to see it.
Well, where I stand on this, Mike Evans is really the only other option for that team. O.J. Howard has done nothing. We talked about their running backs who, although they aren't awful, they definitely aren't great. So who is Jameis Winston going to throw the ball to? It's Chris Godwin, obviously, and it's Mike Evans.
Right.
So far, Mike Evans has had a few disappointing weeks, but that's going to regress to the mean. Is that how we came away with that? Yeah.
He's going to see progression.
There we go.
through regression to the mean, right? Well, Mike Evans has been around for, 5 years or so, and he's had Josh McCown, Mike Glennon, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Jameis Winston as quarterbacks. He's never had a season below 1,000 yards receiving. In 2015 and 2016, when he had only Jameis Winston as his quarterback, he had a combined 2,527 yards on 170 receptions and 15 touchdowns. So we know he's great. We know he can be great. And I think it just comes down to not just matchups, but like inside the game matchup. And he had Lattimore on him this last week, right? Yeah. Who's a great shutdown corner. So if Godwin continues to step up, right, and have these monster games, then teams are going to have to pick which one am I going to cover. And they might try to take one completely out, and that could be Godwin next week. You just don't know. The hard part is how many zeros or ones do you take before you get so frustrated you don't want to play him? So I think that's the biggest freaking out part, is the inconsistency that we're seeing right now. Now, again, this is the first year in this offense for all these guys. So we don't know. If they continue to get better developing inside this offense, maybe we'll see a little bit more even production. And if Godwin continues to show that he is also the number 1, then maybe we see teams where they can't take even one of them out, right? Because they're going to get beat by the other guy too bad. So I don't know. I'm with Adam. You're not going to get rid of him.
Yeah,
you're going to hold on to him. If there's somebody out there that just loves him and you want to trade him and you can still get good value for him, I would, but I wouldn't give him up for nothing.
Yep, I agree. I think you can try to go grab him and he'll pay off at the end of the year.